All right, guys. Well, welcome. It is just about 11 o'clock, a couple of minutes late, but we're going to get started. I'm Lisa Seifert. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions here. So I am going to introduce to you who will be speaking with you today, kind of do a brief overview and just what to expect in this next hour and how we can help you. Alongside, I'm just going to do some brief introductions here. You can see on your screen, there is Amy Reinhold. She is the PTA Admissions Counselor, so most of you have probably either called, text, emailed, or met her in person. And then we have Kelly Fox on right now. She's financial planning, so she's the person that's going to plan out all your money and how you pay for school if you decide to go through this process. So today, we just wanted to get together from you. I know it's a little different virtually, but we're hoping to get you as many or as much information as possible and answer all your questions. We're going to start out after I get done going over a little housekeeping with you. Amy will kind of go over the PTA program, the steps to get accepted, and what to start working on. And then Kelly Fox will go over the money, financial aid, and then Dr. Patterson will be joining us here in a little bit. So she's the program director, and she'll be going over the PTA program, like what to expect in the classroom, and you'll have the opportunity to ask her questions as well. And then at the very end, we're going to do questions and answers with everyone. If you can see your chat window, you might want to open that. And as we're going through things, if you have any questions, please type it in there. And then I will keep your questions to the end, and then we'll address everybody's as we go. And then the last thing is that Amy, probably if you have not interviewed with her, either virtually or in person at one point, she has sent you an interview sheet. If you can just make sure to take that time to fill it out and send it back to her in her email, because this actually counts as an interview for you today. So we're going to go over all the information. So until we can get back on campus and meet with you lovely people face to face, we will be able to use this as the interview. So we're going to get started. Derek's going to share the presentation with you. You'll see pop up on the screen here, and then Amy will take it away and go over that.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say I'm so excited to see some of your faces, which now have kind of gone away because of the PowerPoint, but some of you I've talked to so many times and have never gotten to meet yet, and I just can't wait until you're able to come into campus and we can meet in person. And I truly mean that. I'm so excited. So if you have a camera and it's not on, please turn it on so I can see your face. So welcome. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the PTA program. And so Derek, if you can go ahead to the first slide. So here's our mission statement. I'm not going to read it to you, but you can go and check it out. Go ahead. And then I see my lovely picture there with a little bit about me. And next. Okay, so this is pretty important. The next time the PTA program starts is January 2021. I know some of you are seniors this year and you're going to be graduating 2021. As of now, we have no plans on changing any of the requirements or anything like that. So if you're going to start in January, your application deadline is October 1st. There is a little bit more I'll go over later and make sure you're clear on all the requirements, but just to mention them. You will need to get me your transcripts, both high school and college. And everyone always asks me if they have college, do I still need my high school transcript? And the answer is yes. Because of our accreditation, it's something we need to have on file. So you just want to give your high school a call and have it mailed to us. And if you've attended other colleges, we'll need your college transcripts so we can see what credits will transfer in. And then you'll need 2 letters of recommendation. So you'll want to ask someone who's not a friend or family to kind of attest to your character and why they think you'd be a good fit for the program. And those are normally typed up like in Microsoft Word, and they can be emailed directly to me. And then an important one, you'll do 20 observation hours. So you're required to observe, shadow in at least 2 physical therapy offices for a total of 20 hours. I'm just going to mention this right now because everyone emails me, texts me the same question is, COVID is happening right now, can I observe? And the answer is yes. For a while, it wasn't happening and no one was able to observe, but offices have started opening up and accepting students. So normally, maybe you call your first 2 when they let you observe. You may now need to make a couple more calls because some of them may say, oh, we're not quite doing it yet, you know, give us a call in September. But then there are ones that are saying yes. So you may just need to do a little bit more reaching out to find the 2 sites that will do, you know, will allow you to come in and observe. So all those things would be due October 1st. If you're starting next summer, that would be in July of 2021, all your application deadlines are April 1st. And I won't let a deadline go by. I always check in, make sure you're on track, and make sure you're getting everything turned in. One thing that's also shown here is we do only accept a maximum of 30 people into the program. And that's 30 in Summerdale, 30 in Lancaster. And I know everyone that's here, most of you are starting in Summerdale, and I'll talk a little bit more about that 30 in another slide. So Derek, you can go ahead. This is important. Central Penn College is accredited by the Middle States Commission on Higher Education. That's pretty typical of most colleges in the central PA area. Our physical therapist assistance program actually has its own accreditation, and we're accredited by CAPD. So CAPD kind of oversees all of our coursework, all of our rules and regulations, and also they're the ones that oversee our national certification exam. So to be a physical therapist assistant, you do need to graduate and take your boards, pass them, and get a license in order to be a PTA. Okay, so people always ask me, oh, accelerated terms, how quickly, how fast can I get through the program? So basically in Summerdale, for someone not transferring in any credits, meaning you're taking every class PTA related and some gen eds at Central Penn, you can finish the program in about 18 months plus a 14-week internship. So 18 months is about 6 terms of coursework, and then you'll do 14 weeks of internship. You'll do 2 7-week sites, and our professor does help set you up with an internship. Lancaster is a part-time evening program. That program's completed it takes 2 years, and that's including the internship. You can go ahead, Derek. So here's some really important information. So Central Penn, we are a little bit different than a lot of colleges. You will go all year round. So when you start in January, you'll do 11-week terms with a 2-week break in between. So you'll go 11 weeks, have a 2-week break. Then you come back, it's now term 2, brand new classes, 11 weeks, 2 weeks. So basically it's 11 weeks with a 2-week break, 11 weeks with a 2-week break until you've completed the program. And Dr. Patterson may speak about this a little bit later. There is 1 2-week break where you kind of lose your break. It's towards the end of the program. You'll do a field experience. It's a 2-week kind of shadowing observation that you'll do as part of your program towards the end of the program. So this mentions that the student to faculty ratio is 16:1. That's true of most of our classes at Central Penn. However, I did mention with PTA, there is a max of 30 people that we accept. So the maximum amount of people that would be in your class is 30. So I promise you, you won't be sitting back in the corner hiding and having no one know your name. You will know each other. You will know your classmates. You will know your professors. And PTA students tend to be pretty tight-knit. They tend to be, when I walk around on tours, they tend to be hanging out in the lab, studying together. I'll see them over there practicing their anatomy. They have their bones out. And it may have slipped by you, but I have a diploma in massage therapy. So at one time, a long time ago, I learned some anatomy and physiology. And so occasionally I try to pick up a bone and name it, and usually like they put me to shame. But they tend to be in there studying all the time, and they're together a lot. So I mentioned the internship. After you complete all your coursework, you will do an internship. You'll go to 2 sites, 7 weeks each site, for a total of 14 weeks. So right now, Professor Maggie Wagner is setting that up. She's out on maternity leave right now, and I'm sure Dr. Pattison will talk about that a little bit. So you kind of can give suggestions of where you want to go, what area you might want to get into, but in the end, your professor makes all the contact with the physical therapy offices and makes the final decision. You have to have 2 good sites that fulfill all the requirements. Transfer credits, this is important. So a lot of you have already worked with me. If you have college, I've been asking you for your transcripts, and we take a look and see what credits can transfer in. I don't do those. Stephanie Humphrey completes them. She's the expert. So if you took classes at more than 1 college, I need every transcript. So even if the one transcript says transferred from Harrisburg Area Community College and the courses are listed, we would still need that transcript. So she needs to see the GPA and all the course numbers and everything from all the transcripts. You get those all to me, and normally Stephanie is awesome and very fast, and I have them back within a few days. The maximum amount of credits that you can transfer in is 30 general ed credits. The entire program is 79 credits, and so those other 49 are considered core, including 8 credits of internship. And I also want to mention this, it talks about academic support here. There is a lot of assistance and help at Central Penn. Sometimes you may need to seek it out, ask for help. We don't know if you need it unless you ask. So we do have a learning center, but tutoring. There is an anatomy and physiology tutor, and that's normally who I see down there studying right now. That's Will, one of our upperclassmen. And it's not like you need to be, oh, I'm doing bad, I need to go study with Will. I'll just see him in there. They're just studying together because they want to. So there's help and assistance. We have a counselor on campus. We have Tom Paul Mary, who's our counselor, and you would speak to him if you needed to, anything, maybe if you're having stress or anxiety, personal issues. You'll be assigned a professor as a faculty advisor to kind of assist you and guide you through the program. And then we also have a student success center, and they basically can help you with any sort of academic issues, registering for classes and things like that. And you can switch that, Derek. So this is amazing. We just got updated statistics from our Career Services Center, and we do track graduate success. So most recently, through all of our information that we collected, 90.6% of our graduates were either employed in their field or had chosen to go on and continue their education. So super proud of that, 90.6%, that's amazing. So we do have a Career Resource Center, and they can help with things like resumes, cover letters. They might have internship fairs and programs, and they also have candy. They do a lot of things. You'll do a lot of that stuff in class and kind of with your professors and things like that, but we do have that available to you as well. So the admissions process, I kind of mentioned this starting. If you haven't filled out the application, we do have a free application, and you can just go on, fill that out. Don't be confused. It might say winter 2021, summer. So if you want to start in January, that would be winter. If you want to start in July, that would be the summer session. And then your campus interview, a lot of you I have already done this with, but this today is your campus interview. Normally, as I mentioned, that sheet that I sent you, I would ask you to fill it out while you're here and I would collect them. And I've gotten a lot of them back, so I really appreciate that. Just fill out those 8 questions about yourself and get that back to me, and then you can knock your campus interview, you can check that off your plate. So then, as I mentioned, your college and high school transcripts. If you have SAT and ACT scores, I will ask for those. Normally they're on the high school transcript, so if I don't see them, I'll normally, shoot you a message, hey, did you take these? What were your scores? And collect those for you. Observation hours, 20 observation hours, and then 2 letters of recommendation. And then step 5, this is important. This is your final step. So I mentioned earlier that 30 people are accepted into the program. So after you have all those items completed, steps 1 through 4 by October 1st. Everyone who has all those items completed is invited in on the same day to do a faculty interview and essay. So I will say to you, okay, you need to be here on, I'm making this up right now, October 2nd at 10 a.m. Everyone comes at the same time. You meet basically one-on-one with a professor. It's not like you're sitting in a room and all the professors are sitting around grilling you with questions, but you'll meet one-on-one with them. They'll chat with you. They might ask you, how are your observation hours? What did you learn? Why do you want to be a PTA? Why do you think you'd be a good PTA? Kind of similar stuff that you've already talked about with me. And then you'll write a brief essay. After that, everything kind of has a score attached to it. All the scores go into the rubric, and the top 30 are accepted. If you happen to not be in the top 30, but you reach a certain score, then you would go on the wait list, and if someone else doesn't attend for whatever reason, then we would go down the wait list. Okay, the first person, second person, etc. on down. And so that would be kind of like your admission decision. But I am with you through this whole process, through all these steps. I'm constantly reaching out and available to you. So I don't know if there's any questions that we want to address right now, or we just want to go on and wait till the end.
We're going to just wait. If you can just put your questions in the chat window, and we'll just address them at the end. And then we will let Kelly get started on the financial aid.
So first, those of you looking at attending in January, so winter 2021, the FAFSA form that's out there now, the 2021 FAFSA, is the form that you'll need to complete. If you're looking at summer of 2021, the FAFSA form that you need to complete is not yet available and will open in October. So when you complete that FAFSA form, it determines your eligibility for the grants, loans, some scholarships, and work study opportunities. Switch the slide. Thanks, Derek. So a couple scholarships that you definitely can apply for. They're all on our website, centralpenn.edu/scholarships. Again, this is more listed right now for the current students looking at attending in January. If you're looking at attending in summer, the scholarships will then open up in October when the newest FAFSA opens up. But this is a list of the scholarships that are available that you can apply for on our website. Once you submit the application, typically we would know once you've been accepted if you've won any of the scholarships. And they're all at centralpenn.edu under the financial aid tab. So for those of you who again are seniors, you will apply for scholarships in October, as well as the 21-22 FAFSA form. If any additional forms are needed, we will then send those out to you. And then I will work on your course mapping once you've been accepted. For those of you looking at January, you can currently do the FAFSA that's out there now. You'll be using your 2018 taxes to answer all of the questions. Once you submit it with our school code, then we will be able to start the financial aid process. I'll let you know if there's any additional forms that are needed, and if not, then you will just hear from us once you've been accepted on what your financial aid package is. So typically, Amy will reach out to you once you know you've been accepted, and then about a couple days later, I will reach out to you with your course mapping to let you know how many credits you're taking each term, whether you're transferring in credits or whether you're not, and what the cost is going to be after your financial aid. I highly encourage all of you who are looking at January to apply now for the FAFSA, because a lot of times additional documentation is needed, so we can have that all collected so that when you are accepted into the program, we can move pretty quickly on the financial aid. And again, for those of you looking at the summer term, the FAFSA that's out there now, you cannot complete. That won't take effect for you. So you need to wait until October when the 21-22 FAFSA opens so that we can then work on processing your aid more towards January for the summer start. All right, Derek. Oh, any questions, please put them in the chat, or I'll put my contact information in the chat. Again, complete the FAFSA, especially if you're a January student. If no other forms are needed, then you'll hear from us once we know you've been accepted and I have your course mapping completed on your balances owed, and we'll work out payment plans, private loans, plus loans, and all of those options for you at that time.
Okay, I think that's me. Hi, I'm Nicole Patterson. I'm the program director for the PTA program. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the program itself, and then we can answer any questions that you guys might have about the program. So this is just a list of the faculty here. You'll see we have a combination of both physical therapists and physical therapist assistants who are on faculty, and a good 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are alumni from this program as well. So we like to bring our students back, and now they're teaching future students as well. So we do have faculty here on the Summerdale campus, and then we also have 2 dedicated faculty down on the Lancaster campus as well. These are a list of the required courses. These are considered your core courses for the PTA program here. So for these courses here, we don't take transfer credits. I know Amy talked to you a little bit about transferring classes in and things like that. So if you have, say, a previous anatomy and physiology class, we do still make you take ours here, but that can still come in as like a science transfer credit for you. So it's certainly not a wasted class, and if anything, it will just help better prepare you for our anatomy and physiology. But we just have some things that are embedded into our courses that you might not have had in other programs. So we do want to make sure that you're getting all of the material that you need. Plus, we sort of slant our anatomy and physiology more to the anatomy side, lots of muscle and bone practical type things, because that's what we do on a regular basis, and maybe not quite as much on the physiology side, whereas like other programs who may have like nursing and things like that, they'll rely a little bit more on that. So for those reasons, we do make you take all of these courses here on campus, but we will take transfer credits for pretty much any general education class. So we do ask you to wear certain clothing for labs because we need to be able to get to different body parts. So usually I'm just telling you, wear comfortable, loose-fitting clothing, which most people are pretty okay with. But it's really difficult when we're doing a lab and we need to, say, get to somebody's knee and they're wearing skinny jeans. That makes that virtually impossible. So when you do have labs, which probably not so many your very first term, but from really that second term on, we're in the lab a ton. So we do ask you to dress appropriately for labs. There will be certain occasions in each of your classes too where you may have to dress up. It's usually just for like a presentation. It's not an everyday occurrence, but usually something at the end. And so for that, you can usually either dress up in like business attire, a dress, shirt and tie, something nice, or you can dress like a PTA would dress, which is typically khakis and a polo. So a lot of students will choose to go that route and start building up that wardrobe for when you actually get out into the clinic. We do ask you to wear proper footwear also for lab, especially as we get into some of the labs. We might be working with weights or other equipment, and we just want to make sure that you are safe. And most clinics are going to require you to wear like sneakers or closed-toed shoes as well. So just get into that practice. We do want you to come to class. Attendance is really, really important. Our classes are typically, 2 hours at a time. Right now, with everything that's going on, we're doing a little bit of online work and lab work as well at the same time. And so if you miss a class, you're going to miss a lot of material because we try to do a lot of catch up in lab. And so we know things happen. Life happens, vacations are planned, things are planned, your car breaks down. So if you do know that you're going to miss a class, we ask that you communicate that with us as early as possible, and then that way we can make up some sort of alternate plan for you to catch up on any missed work. Or if something unexpected happens, we just ask that you get in touch with us as soon as you can to let us know that you're okay and what happened, and then again we'll work with you to make sure that you're not missing too much. We do have a little bit different grading scale for the PTA classes versus all the other classes on campus. So for all of those PTA core courses, which was that long list that you looked at just a few minutes ago, you do need to get a C+, which is a 77% or better in order to move on to the next set of classes. All of our classes are structured so that they sort of build on one another, and so you have to have the knowledge of this particular class to move on to the next set of classes, and so you have to score at least a 77%. If you would not score a 77%, you do have one chance to stay, repeat the course, and earn that 77% or better. Just understand that that class probably doesn't run again for 6 months, so you will probably have to wait until it runs again in order to retake it, and then you'll move on to the other classes after that. So again, all of those PTA and allied health classes that were listed under the core do need to be passed with a 77% or higher. All of your lab courses, which is most of your PTA courses, especially as you get further into the program, do have a competency component, which is sort of the practical hands-on exam. Most students really like these exams because it's your chance to sort of show us what you know how to do, and it's not sitting at a desk or a computer and taking an exam. And so we have a whole list of competency exams or practical skills that you will need to demonstrate proficiency in by the time that you graduate from this program. They're embedded in your courses throughout. You do actually start with your first couple in your anatomy and physiology course, your first term, and you do need to score an 80% or higher on those. For every single one of those, you do have at least one chance to retake it, and that does happen, but usually second time around, no problem. Learn from the first mistake, and then you just keep on moving on. Again, you do need to pass all of those competencies prior to going out on your clinical internship, because we tell the clinicians that these students are able to do all of these skills. As Amy mentioned, there are a series of internships that you'll complete, again, closer towards the end of the program. We do have a faculty member, Professor Wagner, who is in charge of helping to set up all of those internships. So there is a 2-week internship, which is typically done on the 2-week break between your second to last and your very last term here on campus. So we teach you some skills, and then we're going to put you into the clinic for a 2-week period to kind of practice some of those skills with actual patients. Then you come back, you take your last term of classes, and then you'll go out on your 2 7-week internships after that. So again, we start this process pretty early. Your first or second term here, we're going to start collecting some information about where you live, where you think you want to do some of your internships, and we start to get to work on finding some of those placements. You will meet with the ACCE, which is the Academic Coordinator of Clinical Education. That's Professor Wagner. You'll meet with her multiple times throughout the program, whether you have either in her class or she'll come into some of your other classes to talk to you about the internship process and some of the requirements for the internships. We do have a list of sites. We have contracts with most area clinics. We have nearly 200 clinical contracts, so we have a lot of contacts. Again, most in this geographic area, but we do also have the ability to send students out of state and to other places as well. So sometimes students will go where they have other family members, extended family, aunt and uncle, a friend that they can stay with for a period of time, to get to see something new and try out a new place. We've had students go as far as Alaska, Florida, all sorts of different places. So typically, housing is going to be up to you. There are very few places that may offer that. So again, as long as you have a place to stay, we can usually make arrangements to set up internships in other locations as well. And again, you are expected to act in a professional manner when you are out on your internships, and we'll help prepare you and make sure that you're ready to do that before you get out the door. All right, so I think that's most of that. I have seen some questions starting to roll into the chat. So if you do have any more questions, keep them coming, and we will go ahead and get started with those.
All right, guys. Thank you all for all that great information. So we did have a couple questions come up, and you can continue to put them in the chat and we will get to them. We're going to get started with the first one, and it was having a degree in kinesiology. Will that have an impact on my entry?
You want me to take that one?
Sure.
So was that you, Eric? Oh, he can't talk to me. So yeah, I mean, it has an impact because we would have gotten your transcript, looked at it, and you would have gotten some credits to transfer in. Also, in the rubric, you do get points for already having a bachelor's degree, so that would help you in that area too.
And I'll just say too, I mean, we do get students that have bachelor's degrees in kinesiology, exercise science, athletic training, those types of related fields, and it does help for sure because you've been exposed to some of this coursework before. You have some familiarity with it, so it does usually benefit a little bit to have that background.
Yeah.
Right. Our next question was, will I have to show you my GED transcript?
Yes.
Yes, you are required to do your high school transcript or your GED transcript. So we can't just take the GED diploma. We actually have to get the scores. If you need help with that, we can put it in the chat too. You can use Diploma Sender, and they will send us the scores directly to the campus as well. And the next question was, I have a bachelor's degree already. Will you need all of my transcripts? Or I know you will need all of my transcripts. Will you need my ACT, SAT scores from 1997 as well?
Okay. If you already have a bachelor's degree, I don't necessarily need your SAT or ACT scores. Like I said, they're normally on a high school transcript anyway, but if you have a bachelor's degree, I may not ask you for them. You'll be fine.
On average, how many applications do you get for those 30 spots per location?
I get asked this question all the time. It's a really tough question to answer because, applications is different than who completes the requirements and things like that. And it's really hard. It's really hard to judge, but there's 30 seats. It's not like I have 100 applicants for 6 seats. And I mean, I don't know. It's really hard to throw out numbers. I may have 40, 45 people that actually complete all the requirements and come in and do formal interviews and essays. And I don't know, I know, Lisa, you've had some experience with that. Do you have anything that you would want to add to that? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, we usually typically get, probably double, triple, sometimes the applications, but like Amy was saying, who actually goes through and finishes all of the steps needed to get to that formal interview process. But we do always aim to, I would say between 45 and 50 to formally interview with Dr. Patterson and her team. Now, will everybody get accepted or offered a seat? Probably not. But the most important thing to remember, even if you're not in those 30, is that there's still a wait list. And a lot can change. So you'll want to get one of those seats on the wait list if you're serious about PTA, because throughout the process, even though they make it in, they may get hung up in financial aid. It may get hung up in something happens in your personal life that you just can't get started during that term. So seats do open up, and we typically do go through a wait list. So just because you're on that doesn't mean that you won't get into the program.
And worst case scenario, you know, you can reapply, go on to the next session if you still want to try and do that too. I mean, I usually tell everyone that I've talked to is just do the best that you can do on all your items. You know, start there. And then if something happens and you are waitlisted or don't get in right away, then we can discuss that and see what you can do for the next time.
Right. The next question was, did I hear correctly that the 2021 FAFSA uses our 2018 tax records?
Yes, that is correct. So for those of you who are looking in January, when you complete that FAFSA, you are using 2018. And then when the new FAFSA opens up in October, you'll be using your 2019 at that point.
All right. What are the hours of classes at Summerdale?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I skipped over that. I totally did not say that. So class, this is very important. Class is Tuesday through Friday. All the PTA core courses run between 8 and 3. Some gen eds can run outside of that time frame and may go to 4:30, but and Dr. Patterson can attest to this. It doesn't mean you're actually in class the entire time, 8 to 3, but that's when they run. So sometimes you might be done early, sometimes you might, you know, be done at 3. But Tuesday through Friday, you typically have off Mondays. And Dr. Patterson, did you want to add to that? Anything else?
No, I mean, that is pretty much how the schedule is designed at this point. It may change at some point, I don't know, but yes, for right now, Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 3 for the most part. Usually like first and last term, you might get out a little earlier, but there are some terms in between where you will absolutely be here 8 to 3 those days, so.
Okay, and Dr. Patterson, you may want to take this one. How has COVID-19 impacted the way classes, labs are performed for the PTA program?
Oh, it's been so much fun. It has had an impact. Right now, it's much less of an impact than it had initially. When it first started in the big shutdown, we did have to go completely online. And at that point, we do still have a decent amount of things that we have to do in person. And so what that did was it just created just sort of a little bit of a delay for some of our students. So we did as much as we possibly could online. We posted lectures online, we held classes online, and then we just kind of pushed all the lab-based things till the end. So we are at a point now where we've caught everybody up to where they need to be. Our classes right now are running sort of as a hybrid. So we are able to, because we still need to maintain social distancing is the big thing. Like we're allowed to have people on campus, we're allowed to do things, but we have to maintain certain numbers in our classrooms. And so because of that, what we've done is kind of just split our groups in half. So right now our students are coming to campus instead of 4 days a week, they're coming 2 days a week. And we're kind of jam-packing those 2 days and putting a lot of material in there. But we provide some of that online. So we do give you a little bit of like background and expect you to come a little bit prepared. And then when we do have that face-to-face lab time, it is nice because we can answer any questions that have come up with the online material. And then we do have time to practice all the skills part of it. So it's been a little bit of adjustment, but so far, we're only a couple weeks into this term doing it this way, but it seems to be going pretty well. And we're kind of, right where I think we should be with most of our classes and our students. And so it seems to be working out all right.
Thank you, Dr. Patterson. When would graduation be for a student beginning winter 2021?
I will do the course mappings for students once we have their transfer evaluation, once they've been accepted. So I'll be able to map that out for you. At acceptance, we'll take your transfer evaluation into consideration and figure out how many credits you're taking each term and when you would be finishing.
Yeah, the fastest that anyone can possibly get through the program is 12 months, 1 year of coursework, and then internship after that. So if you bring in the max amount of transfer credits, just the way that our courses run and are structured, it'll still take you at a minimum of a year to get through the coursework piece of it, but it'll totally depend on how many credits you transfer.
Nicole, can you tell them how many they can transfer in?
I think it's 30,
Mm-hmm.
a max of 30.
Okay, the next is if there is a spike in COVID cases in October, would the formal interview take place by phone or Zoom?
It could.
Yeah, we did that in July. I believe, I don't remember if we were red or yellow at the time,
Yeah.
but we had to make some adjustments. And so now we kind of got the system down. And as of now, I think we're planning to do them in person, but we did do them by phone and the essay via email for the most recent start. So that is a possibility, and I would definitely let you know when we make that decision.
Yep, Amy's very good at getting back in touch with you and letting you know how all of those things ever changing every day.
Yeah.
Do you know if the dorms will be open in January?
We do plan to have the housing open. We're hoping it's open for fall. If you are planning to move onto campus in January, we would have you complete your housing application once we know you've been accepted, and then the roommate lists will be released the first week in December.
Yep, and at this point, due to COVID, the super suites are actually at less, we're working them at half capacity right now. So it's not like a typical, like you would move in typically with 6 other students. Right now, we're only allowing 3 students to each super suite and practicing that. So we do have those in place. And we are phasing in our summer students. About every month, I guess, during the summer term we had 3 different phases. So there are some students on campus now living here. How are observation hours recorded?
Yes, I didn't mention this either. So normally after you apply and you start talking to me and things like that, I'll send you out observation hour forms. So there are forms, you just write where you were and when. The person that you observe and shadow fills out a couple check marks on you, sign and date, and normally those are just emailed back to me. So I will make sure that everyone has those forms and you can kind of just take it with you when you observe and ask them to fill it out for you.
What's the ratio fresh out of high school students versus adults in this program?
I'll give my opinion on that, Nicole. I don't know if you have exact statistics.
Facts, but I can get close.
Yeah, this is going off my observation and who I work with. It's not exact. Majority have some type of college. Doesn't mean if you just out of high school, it's, you know, that's fine too. But 3/4, Dr. Patterson?
I would say it does depend a little bit on the term.
Yeah.
For the January start, we do tend to see more college, less fresh out of high school starts in January. Yeah. But then come July, the summer start, it's probably a little bit more equal.
Yeah.
And we do typically get more straight out of high school students for that summer start. So I would say those groups are probably a little bit more like a 50-50 split, whereas in the winter it probably is maybe more like a 75-25 split with students who do have some college.
And I will say, like, the students, they're so great. Like last time when we were able to do this in person, we did a panel of students that came in and answered questions, and we had one girl in her 40s and one gentleman who was, you know, right out of high school, and they get along great. They both said how they build on each other. They're not like, oh, you're too young to teach me anything. They learn from the ones that are younger. They learn from the ones that are older, and it seems to be a nice blend from what I see.
Right. I heard that there's free housing if you're a full-time student. Is that true? Kelly, you want to take that?
Yep. So if you're moving in January, yes, you would have free housing for your January term and your spring term. So you'd have 6 months of free housing.
Right. Regarding observation hours, I completed the internship last fall. Would I be able to use 20 of these hours towards my application?
Okay, so the hours have to be completed within 12 months, and it still has to be 2 sites. So, and Dr. Patterson, you can add to this, but sometimes, you know, if you did complete them elsewhere, I usually work with Dr. Patterson and we'll say if it's within 12 months, okay, this can be half of your observation hours, but you still need to do a second site. So I would really need to just take a look at what you completed, what the date was, and then that would probably be able to count as half of your hours if it were in that time frame. Dr. Patterson?
I agree.
Okay.
Yes. So as long, and again, too, like the earlier you would get your application in, the more likely those hours would still be within that time frame. So go ahead and get that process started, and then we can take at least probably half those hours. And then again, we do want you to try to get just some different exposures. So that's why we ask you to go 2 different places. So we would like you to try to get somewhere else for some of the remaining hours.
Can we use observation hours from sessions prior to today if we provide documentation from the therapist?
Yeah, that would be the same probably if you've observed. I have that. I have, you know, people that switch schools or, you know, they were applying to other schools and had to observe. So basically, if it's within 12 months, or like Dr. Patterson mentioned, it's kind of like within 12 months of when you apply, I would just need to take a look at it and get it verified that it would be acceptable.
Yeah, we just need documentation that you were actually there. So.
If a student doesn't qualify for financial aid, what is the cost of the program?
So we're $494 a credit. So we would just have to take that by how many credits that you would have remaining if you're transferring in credits. And again, I would definitely be able to do that course mapping for you and let you know exactly what your costs would be once I see how many credits you're transferring in and if there, you know, is any financial aid eligibility. But to give you an idea, we are $494 a credit.
All right. For free housing, does that apply for summer, fall as well?
We're just waiting on approval. So we were able to run it last year. So we just have to see if we're going to be able to run it this year or not. So I know for sure any January students would get it for January and April. And we just haven't heard yet if we're going to be able to offer it for 2021.
Yeah. And just to be clear that this program does not start in the fall, that it is only able to start in summer, which is our July term, and then winter in January. Is the tuition for the PTA program comparable to Penn State, more or less?
I don't know Penn State's per credit rate, but again, we are $494 a credit. And if you are transferring in credits, obviously you're paying less because you're not paying for any of the general education courses here. And I will definitely be able to do a course mapping for you and let you know what you qualify for based off of what you're transferring in and what it would cost you.
Kelly, can you mention about some of the scholarships that we provide that they could apply for as well?
Yep. So if you have a bachelor's degree or you are transferring in 30 credits, you will automatically receive the $1,000 transfer scholarship. So it's divided over your first 3 terms. So it's about $333 off your first 3 terms. We also have, for some of you who've just recently graduated high school, we have a regional scholarship if you're from one of the counties surrounding Cumberland County, and that's a $3,000 scholarship. It takes $1,000 off your first 3 tuition bills. And then, like I said, for those of you who are looking more towards the summer term, our scholarships will be open and available in October for you to apply for any of those. And most of them are GPA based. So if you meet the GPA criteria, you submit the essay. The essay is reviewed by 3 different people, and then they let us know if you want anything.
And there are opportunities too, once you are a student through our Education Foundation, to continuously apply for scholarships as well to help with your costs of tuition. How many credits total is this degree?
The total program is 79 credits, and you can transfer in a maximum of 30. So the minimum amount of credits that you would take would be 49.
What are the components that make up the score for the admissions rubric? SAT score, volunteer work, etc.?
So the different components are each area of the requirements. So we do look at your GPA and how many credits that you're transferring in. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I guess you could say the higher the GPA, kind of the more points, but that's very broad for me to say that. There is a minimum GPA requirement of a 2.5, so you need to have at least a 2.5 or above to get into the program. So one is your GPA, one is a bachelor's degree or SAT scores. You get points for observation hours and your letters of recommendation. And then honestly, where you really set yourself apart from the other candidates, I would say, is your formal interview and essay. So the interview and essay is a larger portion of the rubric. That's the chance for you get to, you know, show why you want to do this and why you'd be a good fit for the program. And I don't know if Dr. Patterson, I know what you're kind of looking for is people you think are going to be a good fit for the program, that you think are going to work well with patients. If there's anything you want to add to that.
I mean, those are the big things. We just want to, I mean, we're kind of removed from the admissions piece of it. Amy, Lisa, Kelly, like they get to know you as you're applying, and it isn't until we get to that interview that we really ever get to have a conversation with you. So it's just kind of like us getting to know you a little bit more, finding out a little bit about your background and why you want to do this. Again, just to make sure that this is something that you are really truly serious about and that you're dedicated, because it can be a challenging program for sure. It is challenging, but it's worth it, and we just want to make sure you're kind of up for that challenge, I guess.
Mm-hmm. All right, and do we offer military discounts or GI Bill?
We do have a VA certifying official that's on campus. So if you're using, you know, Chapter 33, Chapter 30, Chapter 35, we will get those benefits certified for you. I will send him your course mapping so they know how many credits you're taking, and then we can determine what your eligibility is from there. But yes, we definitely have a VA certifying official on campus to assist with any VA questions or getting your benefits started.
Okay, how is your GPA calculated? Based off of the courses transferred in or every college course taken?
Every college course taken. So if you've gone to a couple of different colleges, I do a GPA calculator, and I guess broadly it's average, but not really, because if you've taken, you know, a whole bunch of credits at one college, that's weighted a little bit more than if you've taken just a small amount of credits at another college. But basically they're kind of, it's every course that you've taken, GPAs averaged together.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All right, guys. Well, we want to thank you all for joining us today. You will be getting an email after this session, and it will include some follow-up information just for you. If you haven't applied yet, Amy would probably be sending the free application link to start your application and begin the process. And then if you are interested in setting up a time that maybe you don't want to put your question in here now, but you would like to talk with Amy or Kelly during, like, to set up a phone call with them, if you just want to enter into the chat that you would like one of them to reach out, what we'll do is after this, we'll reach out and personally set up those times with you in the next week or so to get all your questions answered. But we look forward to hopefully seeing all your applications completed for October 1st, and we look forward to seeing you around soon. So thank you, everyone.